contracts clause of the U.S. Constitution as protecting public union pensions in the absence of the New York State Constitution provisions.
Well, I don't claim to be a lawyer. I don't claim to be a lawyer. I don't claim to be a lawyer, so I know a few. I would say, generally, we can look at what happened in Detroit. They didn't eliminate pensions. They cut them in half. Even though there were provisions that prohibited it. So, it's not that it can't be done. But that's how I see it.
On that particular score, we're stronger than the federal government. We don't want to go to something that's weaker. Our state law is better.
Let me be very clear. Our pensions are contracts in New York. They are totally protected by Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1 of the Federal Constitution, the contract clause. Under no circumstances can they be changed. The Supreme Court has upheld the Federal contract clause many times. The states you mentioned, Rhode Island, Wisconsin, Illinois, Arizona, did not have in their constitution that pensions are a contract. We have no risk. Now, there is clear risk for people that don't have pensions. So, to me, that isn't good enough. It's one reason, if this is voted on, I want to work with Arthur and strengthen our pensions. But current pensions have zero risk because of the contract clause. Everybody that studied this agrees.
Hi, so there are a couple questions. Many of you have asked questions that have already been answered, I think, but there are two questions here that are sort of about one is about why can't we amend the Constitution without having an actual convention through referendums and proposals? Why can't we put more effort into that, and then we would be able to focus and target the issue that we really want? And the other one is, in the rules for the convention, are there any guarantees that would exclude big money? You know, sort of a campaign finance thing. So if the rules aren't there, or could those rules be put in prior to the convention, or are rules already established for those procedures?
If those rules were passed in the legislature, how they went, we'd be in your game. We'd be in your game. There are those proposals that I see that you put together that weren't doing it. It's just that there's no assurance that the people who will be doing it will work in our interest. They have too many conflicts. The proposals are great. The process to get there is flawed.
I can't, look. On the proposals that many of us have, I don't care whether it gets passed through the legislature or the People's Convention. The only reason I'm for the People's Convention, after 10 years of working to elect a state senator, I was the finance chair the 1 year we won. We won. It hasn't happened. Let me tell you amendments that did pass. Andrew Cuomo, we talked about this emergency and he could just make decisions. One amendment. We want to change the measure of necessity so we don't have to print the bills and put it on the member's desk. We'll do it by email. 2014, we passed it. The second amendment, he says, redistricting. This absolutely will change redistricting forever. Well, guess what? That independent commission, if Lavender says no twice, it goes back to the old process. And even worse, you all voted for this independent redistricting in 2014. Well, guess what? To determine the number of senators we have, that Constitution 2014 says we're going to eliminate the Bronx. I'm not making this up. We put some of it in Westchester, some of it in Essex. We're going to eliminate Queens. and we're going to put it with Nassau. Even worse, it said, we're going to combine Staten Island and a full county with Suffolk. That's what we passed. That's an example that came out of the legislature, and it led to the 63rd Republican seat. That's how cynical Andrew Cuomo is in working with the INC and the Republicans. So if I thought we had an exciting progressive governor, I could care less about the People's Convention. But I'm sick of Albany. I have more trust in the people, and I wish we could do it through the legislature, and we had a legislature with young people like we have in the city council. We don't. It's time to fight.
Right now, the rules that govern the election of delegates are the state election law. And it is certainly true that the legislature can pass all sorts of rules about the election of delegates and about the conduct of the convention. It is unlikely they will do so until the public has voted to have a convention. I mean, there's no sense in changing the rules for something that isn't going to take place. And this is something we should be aware of. The rules can change as we go along, right? And the rules can get better, and the rules can get worse.
Okay, so here's another one. Why do you,
Turn it on, so
okay. Why do you believe that the referendum ballot language would really be as deceptive as the fracking example that you gave? You talked about how they see, and you talked about the fracking example. By saying agriculture could be opened it up to fracking.
No, the reason I think it could be that deceptive is that it recently was. And I took that language from the referendum. We had a statewide referendum. Let me ask you a question. How many of you think that casino gambling is such a blessing that it should be enshrined in the New York State Constitution? Yet it is enshrined in the New York State Constitution because there was a constitutional amendment that was put to a referendum of all of the voters. Now here's how that works. If I can just take a minute. The Attorney General sent language over to the Board of Elections to be put on the ballot. And the Attorney General's language said, I'm leaving out all the articles and that stuff, the proposed amendment to the Constitution would allow the legislature to authorize up to 7 casinos in New York State. That was the language that was supposed to be on the ballot. If that wasn't good enough, the elected officials would have gotten $11 billion in campaign contributions from the gaming industry. And they got the New York State Board of Elections to add the following. Up to 7 casinos in New York State for the legislative purpose of promoting job growth, increasing aid to schools, permitting local governments to lower property taxes through the revenues generated. That was what they added. And it was even fraudulent because it makes it sound like the revenues generated are going to local government. But they're not. They're going to the casino owners, only the taxes on them are going to local government. So I think the language could be that deceptive because it already was.
Do we have any, I think somebody said that there was no movement of big money yet to oppose or promote a convention. But what about groups like ALEC? And have they said, ALEC, has that come in to play? Have they talked about wanting to do a convention?
Here's what I'm scared of. I'm scared of that the money is already there. I'm scared that, in fact, money is being put into this process because there is an opportunity in New York. And, you know, the opportunity every 20 years is up to evil doers the same as it is to good people. That's my fear. I fear that if we do nothing, that money will be put in there, and that we will not be prepared, because we will not have organized in each senatorial district to unearth delegates, to help put this together. And the other thing that I fear is not being together with labor and with other groups. And with us, the age-old thing that they do, which is very quietly, they gather up their money, they are united in their purpose, and we squabble among ourselves. I would like to see us have and be prepared for two strategies, because you got to. We've got to act as if evil money doers are already hard at work to undo what we want. By the same time, preparing to support, to train, to surface, and elect progressive delegates, so that if the hammer comes down, we're ready and we don't have to catch up later on. Because one thing about dark money and bad money, once you have to catch up with it, you've already lost. So, I don't know if we can do this. I think we need to sit down together. I do not believe that we should have, labor versus I don't believe that. I believe that we're more intelligent and we can do something in between where we can sit down, develop a strategy. Here's what we do if yes, here's what we do if no. Because still, if there is none, and the vote is no, we still got the most messed up legislature that there is. And believe me, I will guarantee you that if it goes no, they will be more emboldened. So I would like to see us be smart and come together with our inside and outside strategies.
I'd just like to say that if this is a yes vote, there's not a friend of mine that will not unite with the Working Family Party and with labor and be totally team players. We will be united if it passes. If it doesn't pass, we will still work to make changes in Albany. And that's why I have absolute respect for every single person who closes the convention.
So actually, this may be connected to that and also could wrap up, because this question talked about how it impacts our current organizing and mobilization activities. We in the club are doing a lot already focused on 2018, taking back Congress. We have a lot going on with immigration rights and DACA. I mean, every other day we turn around, there's some issue that we have to organize and fight on. And if we're also now in the next 2 months, or not even, 6 weeks, supposed to organize about the convention and then organize for delegates, there's a lot to do. And does it take away from our focus on 2018?
Between now and November, it's only whether you're for or against it. Otherwise, we focus on the races. But I'm going to leave you, where's my little policy book. After November, we have a year. I would like to see the club have 3 or 4 issue meetings. Why? What is it that we're trying to change on different topics? How do we finally, not just topics, small groups. 2, start organizing who in this Senate district do we want to unite behind to be delegates. We have to start that. We're already raising money for training, but I think between now and November, it's only a yes or no, and focus on the races.
Come on. To me, the most important political task that lies ahead of us now is taking back Congress. in the paper that there's deadlocks, the White House can't move anything in Congress is deadlocked. It's not true. Like, if you read further down in the article, every day there's some new horror going on in Washington, and the whole Trump agenda is being carried out. And we've got to break their hold on having every single organ go into Republican hands, and Congress is the best opportunity to do that. Now, what happens with the convention is that the day that the next Congress is elected is the day that the delegates are elected. And the result of that will be that the fight to change Congress and take back Congress is going to get turned into the fight over delegates, which are on the same day, and everybody's going to get sidetracked in the delegates and lose focus on Congress. We had how many million people out on the Women's March? And if after all of that we can't take back Congress, they're just going to laugh at us. And we don't need this diversion.
Thank you, Mr.
I think we can walk and chew gum here. I do think that we, in fact, can work on Congress and have a slate that says, here's what we're doing locally, and here's wedded to and entwined with what we're doing congressionally. The only thing that folks need to figure out for themselves, because today is the 13th of September, you've got a month or so until November 7th. Guess what, folks? We are on the ballot. So you will have to vote yes or vote no. So it's not, this ain't no theory. We are serious. We got on the ballot. So we have between now and November to figure out, am I a yes or am I a no? And as Bill said, either way, we know it's going to be a fight, and we're going to fight alongside of you, regardless, but you need to vote yes.
So,